Go ahead.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So you're just touching base here. I was not able to find a whole lot, like any internal reports on the Thunderbolt bridge being removed and re-added, like kind of coming back on its own. I tested it on my own workstation a couple hours ago. I went and removed the interface, and I just double checked, and it's still not coming back. So I would say, since you've already removed it and set it up again, like completely erased the Mac and set it up as brand new and gone through and set all that up again, and you're still having the same trouble,
Mm-hmm.
since you are having a hardware issue, we are experiencing hardware, that could very much be in line with that, where it's not recognizing it and the software is kind of re-adding it because it's not remembering or keeping track of the fact that you removed it, just kind of popping it back in there on its own due to that hardware issue.
Okay.
So at the very least, let me see here. I believe last we spoke on the 7th, we did confirm that it happens in recovery mode where those externals aren't recognized.
Correct.
So at that point, the next best thing to get that taken care of would be that I reach out to the Apple Store, let them know that, we do have a hardware issue in our hands, and see if we can get you back in there as soon as possible. Let me see. And that they should be able to take a look at that and kind of move forward.
You want me to go to the store again? I've gone so many times, but you still want me to go again?
So with that, it's with that hardware issue, there's not a whole lot we'd be able to do for you over the phone at that point. So if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to set up maybe a send-in repair, and saving you a trip up to the store. But you would have to send off the Mac, and you would be without it for a little bit.
That's fine. We'll do a send in repair.
Okay. So with that, as of right now, there would be a charge associated with that. Is that something that you'd be okay with, or you'd rather wait until we get the call reviewed with Hope and see if there's a chance of us covering that?
How much is it?
Let me take a look at how much we'd be working with. I'm just waiting for this to fully load on my end. And you've got the 2020 MacBook Air, right? The
Mm-hmm.
M1 chip?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And can you go ahead and provide your postal code?
M4T1C1.
Thank you so much. Okay. So it looks like before taxes, or after taxes and everything, shipping and everything, that comes out to $701.73. Likely because that's just the flat rate repair with the labor charges, as well as, it could very well be a logic board repair is what they may be looking at to get that taken care of.
You want me to pay $700?
Right, so that would be the flat rate for the repair. If you'd like, I would be more than happy to continue to wait for that response on the call recording to see if we can potentially cover the repair. But that's, there's no guarantee we'll be able to do that. But we do have a hardware issue in our hands, and that would be the out of warranty cost to get that resolved.
You sorry. I just want to make sure I got this right. This issue, the Mac has been problematic from the beginning, and I've said it to Apple, and I've done so much work for engineering. They had me go through so many things that I had to do for them and record and send it to them. It all the problem came back every time I do a wipe. The problem comes back as it just did, and now you're telling me that I have to incur $700 in cost due to no fault of my own.
So we can definitely take a look at, again, we do want to go ahead and try to get that taken care of. We can try to cover that on our end. But if you were to go through with the repair right now, that would be the cost.
And then, so if I go with it right now, that's the cost. And then what's the second option again?
The second option would be see if we can get that covered here. And I do see that you have been calling about this for quite a while, so we may actually have a case to get this covered. I'm just taking a look at a couple things on my end here.
I haven't
So
called
this,
for quite a while. Is that what you said?
yes, it looks like you have been dealing with this for quite a while, like all the way back to September of 2022, late last year. Let me see. I'm just taking a look at something on my end. And just taking a look at a couple things here. I'm just taking a look at something on my end. So was this a replacement MacBook? Because I'm seeing the replacement issued. Was this a replacement MacBook that you're working with right now, Sita?
It was.
Okay, okay. So let me
So
see.
here's what happened, Noah. So this MacBook arrived and I put it in my closet and I didn't open it for a couple of months. Okay?
Okay.
When because I wanted to test something. When I did open it, it had log messages, console log messages showing dates while it was sitting in my closet. And I showed that to engineering. I sent it to engineering. How can my Mac show log messages while it was sitting in my closet? Okay, it's still in the box. So,
Boy, we really can't say for sure
of
how
course,
that would happen.
no one knows for sure how that happens, but after researching it, I was told that it's not it should not show log messages while it was sitting in my closet. It was still in the box.
Right, and I can definitely understand, and that's why they ended up replacing the MacBook.
No, that's this one here. It doesn't matter. All I'm telling you is I have no control of the thing. It's always in use when I turn it on. And look, today this morning I turned it on. It has over 100 active connections. It always does. Things every day. Things change on my device every day. Nothing stays the same. People tell me they send me email. I never receive the email. And on and on and on. I've documented all of that for you guys. Still, I'm sitting with the same thing. I've done everything you guys told me to do, which is to wipe, complete wipe. I do it all the time. Same thing returns every single time.
Right, so that is something we're going to get taken care of. It's just given that the MacBook has been replaced, it does put us in a tough spot, telling us that we'd be able to cover the issue. Was this was happening on the previous MacBook with the USB devices not working?
Uh, yes, but we
Okay.
have some changes now because now Apple has sent patches out, right? Been a whole bunch of patches sent out.
Right.
The last patch, my Mac would refuse to update. It would not update at all. It's only when the App Store wiped it and I received it back that it went to hold on. Let me give you the correct number. It did 12.2.1, but it refused. I tried for weeks for it to update to point one. It wouldn't. But when it returned from the Apple Store, it updated. I'm sorry, 13.2.1. So that is a constant. It wouldn't update the patch. um, there's so many overrides of my Apple ID and everything else, of my password, everything. Anyways, it's all there. I mean, I've documented it. I've sent so much information to you guys. It's not like I'm not documenting.
Right. Right. And it is something we want to get straightened out for you here. I'm just taking a look at a couple things on my end, trying to get the case history all organized here.
Okay, and by the way, when I had sent some information to engineering, I said to engineering, my log messages says there's a user called private. Engineering came back and said there's no such thing, but I take screenshots. There's a user called private. It tells me there's an external user on the Mac all the time. I have the screenshot. I can show it to you. It's there every day.
Right. So again, with that, I know you and I had talked about the log messages that we can't really speak to what's expected and what's not expected.
I know you were saying that, but some other people believe that when the Mac says debug kernel, for example, that shouldn't happen. And when the Mac tells me, listen, it's a very smart device. When the Mac tells me there's an external user, I'm thinking logically there's an external user. Otherwise, you wouldn't say there's an external user.
Right. So with that, in that case, it sounds like the external user would have been you. But again, we really can't speak to accurately translate those log messages because they're designed for the software developers to look at those and
Well,
know what they're saying, not
y-
not you or I. We wouldn't be able to make heads or tails of that.
listen. The I have my if my documents are disappearing from my Mac, I have a problem. How do I show you that my documents are disappearing? I cannot. I have to look someplace for it to find out what's happening. Right?
Right. It would be a little tough to show us that the documents are disappearing.
Thank you.
So I'm just trying to take a look at. Do you know what ended with the MacBook getting replaced? What was going on then?
Um. Oh yeah. I go to the Apple Store. I do a what? It's all my stuff is always disappearing. My settings are always changed. I turn things off and they come right back again. It's it's an old story. It's an old story, and so I did so many wipes again, and the same thing keeps happening all the time. I also spoke to engineering, and in screen time, my Mac showed usage when I wasn't using it, and that happens this again. Okay, it showed usage when I'm not using the device. And so after so many wipes, there's nothing Apple could do anymore, and it was under the warranty because I didn't leave it in my closet for months. Okay, and so they exchanged it.
Okay. Okay. So let
But
me
this
see
time I left it in my
here.
closet for a couple of months.
And I'm just looking at the case history for the previous MacBook as well, trying to get this all figured out for you here.
Okay, so hang on a second, Noah. What are we doing here now? Right now, what are we doing with this one?
Right now, you do have a hardware issue with the MacBook, so we do want to try and get that repaired. Given that we already replaced the MacBook, it would really be tough to try and get it covered, but I can certainly give it a shot here. Uh, Let me see here. So given that the MacBook's been replaced and we're having these hardware issues again, we may very well have to, we may not be able to cover the repair. But again, I'd be more than happy to check with my supervisor and see if that's something we can do
Okay,
for you.
so I have to go do something right now. So let's say it's not covered. I know that I'm outside of warranty now. Um, then what? Am I stuck with that? It's a hardware issue and it's been there from the beginning. Whatever is happening, and it starts at when I got it, like for example, this time, when it was returned to me from the Apple Store, it was already Wi-Fi connected. I showed you the screenshot, yes?
Right. And was it connected to your network or the Apple Store's network?
So I didn't bring it home. I once they handed it to me, I opened the Mac at the Apple Store. Okay? And I took the screenshot at the Apple Store and I recorded the log messages at the Apple Store. I didn't bring it home until I finished recording the log messages and the setup at the Apple Store. I didn't bring it home at all. I wanted to show Apple what's happening when you guys return the Mac to me as brand new because it's the same thing that happened as brand new. It's the exact same thing.
Right. So it's very possible if it was worked on in the Apple Store, they may have connected to that network and just made sure that was functioning okay. That could very well be why that network was already connected.
You're telling me that where it says for me to set up the Mac and it asks me to choose a language and it says it's connected to Wi-Fi already connected, that's not a glitch to you. That's not a problem.
No, I would say that doesn't seem like an issue.
Wow. Okay, and it's not an issue because you're saying the Apple Store must have done that?
Right. The machine, if it's wiped as brand new, it's not going to know to connect to that network automatically. So someone had to go in there and choose to connect to that network.
Okay. Well, there we go. We're making progress now. So someone chose to connect to a network. So you're saying the people who worked on it at the Apple Store chose to connect it to a network. So when I started up as brand new, it was already connected to a network, and when I tried to undo the connection, it wouldn't undo the connection, and that's okay as well.
Right. It could very well be that you may not be able to turn it off in the setup assistant, but once you get into the actual software and you're on the user account, you may have a much easier time disabling that connection.
Yeah, well, when I looked at console and I looked for active connection, it was telling me I had over 100 active connections already when they just gave it to me, when they just gave me the Mac. Anyways, listen, I'm
Right.
repeating myself. We, right now, you're not able to do anything unless you get what? You have to speak to your supervisor, is that it?
Right. To go through with that replacement or the repair where we would cover it, I would have to reach out to my supervisor and essentially request that.
So you haven't spoken
Um,
to your supervisor as yet?
no, I had he had gotten in the office and I had called you just a few minutes after because it was already after 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So what does that mean? You want to call me back again?
Yeah, so I'd like to go ahead and let you go for a little bit and speak with them and see what they can do for us. Again, I don't want to guarantee that we'll be able to cover it, given that it is, this is a replacement MacBook, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
certainly see what we can figure out for you.
Sure. I tell you what, instead of calling me, why don't you send me an email?
I can absolutely do that for you.
Right. So do that and let me know what my options are. If he or she says yes or no, what my options are moving forward.
Okay, we can definitely take a look at that, and I'll reach out to you as soon as possible, Stephen.
Right,
Thank you so
because
much.
I don't want to drag it out.
Of course, I wouldn't want that for you either. I'll reach out to you as soon as possible.
Any idea of a timeline?
I would say you should hear from me at the very least, at most within an hour.
Oh, okay. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are very welcome. Thank you so
Okay.
much for your time.
Yeah, I just need for you to give me options, right? If they say no, then what are the options? And if they say he or she says yes, what do I do? Right?
Of course, of
And
course.
remember,
Yeah, I'll put it in.
okay, and just remember this is how I got it from the Apple Store after a complete wipe of the firmware and the whole thing was wiped.
Absolutely. So I'll go ahead and I'll keep them as filled in as possible, and I really do appreciate your patience.
Yeah, please do know. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it as well.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you so much for your time. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.